Hello everyone. Welcome to the focus group webinar series on getting started with widgets for Zoho CRM, Zoho Desk and Zoho projects. The objective of this series is to help you gain knowledge on how you can build and implement widgets in the service that you require. The series is a 3-day session in which you will be guided through the steps involved in creating a widget and incorporating it into your Zoho service. We have pre-recorded this session in order to avoid technical difficulties as much as possible. If you face any difficulties during the session, kindly post it in our chat window and the team will try to rectify it as soon as possible. I am Nandita from Zoho Marketplace team and I will be walking you through today's session. We also have Lavanya, Aravind and Dinesh with us to address your queries during this session. If you have any queries during the session, kindly post them in the chat window and we will address it during the Q&A time scheduled at the end of the session. In the first and the second day session, we saw how we can create widgets for the services Zoho CRM and Zoho Desk. Today's session will cover creating widgets for Zoho projects. Today's agenda includes the following topics: a brief introduction on Zoho projects, creating extensions using Zoho Sigma Cloud Editor, creating connections using the Sigma Connectors feature, testing a widget, embedding the widget in Zoho projects, and finally a Q&A session where we will address your queries. Now, let's see these topics one after another. Zoho Projects is an online project management software that helps you run your business with ease. It serves as a solution to your day-to-day problems in project management and adds value to your business. There are multiple features available in Zoho Projects that help you with your business. Some of the core features available are planning and collaboration, tracking, productivity, issue management, and integration. So let's see how each of these core features is involved in Zoho Projects. Milestones, tasks, and subtasks are available in Zoho projects that help you plan your work with ease. There is also fields and activity stream that help in collaboration with your peers. Reports and charts feature help you track your work within and across projects easily. Timesheets, resource utilization chart helps you measure productivity effectively. There is also a bugs module where you can submit, track, and close bugs in your project. You can also integrate Zoho projects with other applications and access the data with more fluidity. Now that we have seen Zoho projects, let's move to the next topic, which is Zoho Sigma Cloud Editor. We know that Sigma is the platform available in Zoho Developer to build extensions. Sigma has introduced a cloud editor where users can build extensions for Zoho services. In order to create extensions using the Sigma Cloud Editor, we need to do the following steps, which is create a workspace, build an extension, and then test the extension. So before going into these steps, let's take an overall look at Zoho projects. So I'm moving to Zoho projects. So in order to sign up with Zoho projects and create your portal, you can navigate to the Zoho projects sign up page. And in the sign up page, you can enter your company name, which will also be your portal name. Your portal name is unique. So if a portal with this name already exists, you will be prompted to enter another name. Also, an email ID can be used to create only one portal. Once you create a portal with your mail ID, you cannot use the same ID to create a new Zoho Projects portal. Further, you can enter your credentials, choose your region, and sign up to create your Zoho Projects portal. I've already signed in, so I'm going to Zoho Projects. So this is my projects portal where you can see the different sections which are available in the left panel. So you can use this project section and check out the projects which are present. And if you go inside a particular project, then you can see the different features that are associated with it over here in the form of different tabs. So the tasks associated with this project can be checked under this task tab. The reports that are generated for this particular project can be checked using this Gantt and reports tab. All the documents that you've uploaded or added regarding this particular project can be checked inside this documents tab. Similarly, we also have the milestones associated with the project, the timesheet for this project, and the issues that you have submitted, the issues or the bugs that are associated with this project can be tracked from under this issues tab. And also the users who are involved in this particular project can be checked from the users tab. So all these features can also be checked through these different sections which are available in the left panel as well. So then you can go to the setup icon, and under this profile section you can see the themes option which is available. So currently Zoho Projects supports this themes option even while building an extension. Then you can also use this marketplace section, and under this create extension option you can either choose to enable or disable your developer mode when you're planning to perform a testing of your extension. And also you can use this manage users section in order to add users to your Zoho Projects portal and provide them profiles or roles depending on their security access level. So this is an overall look at Zoho Projects portal. Now that we have a basic idea of the Zoho Projects portal, let's move to our Zoho Sigma in order to build the extension. So I'm going to my Zoho developer space. I'm choosing the Sigma option since it is exclusively meant for building extensions. So if you're a first-time user, you will be prompted to create a workspace. You can enter a workspace name to proceed. Here, since I've already created a workspace and developed few extensions for different Zoho services, all the extensions that I've created are displayed in this particular page. Now that we are going to create a new extension for the service Zoho Projects, let's go ahead and choose the new extension button. We are going to choose the service as Zoho Projects. Let's provide a name and description for the extension. So once you have given the name and the description for the extension, you can either choose to enable or disable this upload existing file feature depending on either if you want to build the extension using the Sigma Cloud Editor, or if you want to build the extension using a local editor and then upload that particular file into this particular extension. So if you choose this option as yes, then you will have to upload a zipped file of your project inside this extension. So just as we saw for Zoho Desk, you can create a particular project using your local editor and then pack the project and then upload the zipped file over here in order to create the extension. Else, for our demo's purpose, today we are going to see how we are going to create an extension using the Zoho Sigma Cloud Editor. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this option as no, and then click on I agree to the terms and conditions, and then click on save as draft. Extension has been created, and while the extension was created, the service we chose was Zoho Projects. So based on the service that was chosen, the corresponding services plugin manifest file will be pre-populated into the Sigma's editor as a new project, thereby eliminating the need for the service specific setup. So as we had seen earlier with Zoho Desk, the plugin manifest file is included in this directory by default, and it has various keys which are present in it, each serving a unique function for configuring the extension. So as you can see that here, while the extension was created, by default a sample widget has been loaded in the plugin manifest file. So the name for the widget is given as projects extension and the location is task tab. So your extension or the widgets detail will be available in the task details page of your Zoho Projects portal. And then you have the URL, which is the URL of the index.html file, that is the widgets HTML file location is being given in the URL. So when you go to a visit the index.html file, this is the sample widget that is going to be loaded in the default location given in the plugin manifest file, which is task details page. Also, there are a set of predefined locations which are available in your Zoho projects where the extensions can be loaded. So based on a business needs, you can alter the location accordingly. So now let's see how we can run the widget or run the project from here using Sigma Cloud Editor. So you can simply click on this run button which is present here and choose the Zoho projects portal in which you want to run this extension. So since in this plugin manifest file, the location where the widget needs to be loaded was task tab, let's go into a task and check its tabs. So you can see that this project extension is the name of the widget which is given in the plugin manifest file. And here we are choosing that, and you can see that the sample widget has been loaded. So this was the default location. The task tab was the default location which was loaded when a new extension was created for Zoho project. But based on your business requirements, you can change this location accordingly. So once you have tested your extension, you can simply click on the stop button in order to stop running the server. So now that we have seen how we can build a sample extension and test it, let's see how we can create connections with other applications for Zoho projects. So for that, we can go and use this connections feature as we had used while doing the demo for Zoho Desk. So now using the connections feature, you can choose the service. So since we're going to create a connection between Zoho projects and other application, let's choose Zoho projects and select your portal. So once you've selected the service and the portal, click on add connection. And for a demo today, I am going to choose the Dropbox third-party application. So let's provide a connection name. And a connection link name. The connection link name has to be unique. Then you can either choose to enable or disable the use credentials of login user feature. So if this is enabled, then every user will have to enter their service credentials when login. While if this is disabled, then the admin's credentials is sufficient to login. So I'm going to just keep it enabled and click on create and connect. So you can go ahead and authorize over here and then click on proceed. So you can see the Dropbox connection has been successfully created. So your link name, the service name and the status is also connected. So this is the connection summaries detail page where everything related to your connection has been displayed. So under this deluge tab, you have a set of code which can be used while you want to invoke this connection through any custom function. Whereas if you want to invoke this connection through your widget, then you can copy this code snippet which is inside your JSON tab and then paste it inside your plugin manifest folder inside the connectors key. So this will establish a connection between your third-party application, which is Dropbox, and your Zoho projects. So now that we have seen how a connector can be created between Zoho projects and another application, in order for data transfer like fetching or retrieval of data or inserting data into other applications, we'll have to invoke certain APIs. So in order to invoke these APIs, we need to include the JS SDK, which is the JavaScript software development toolkit inside a project. So let's take a look at JS SDKs. So the JS SDK is a package of multiple methods and APIs which helps your JavaScript code to interact with the Zoho project application. So there are a lot of multiple APIs which are present. So inside this JS SDK library, let's take a look at certain APIs. So here you can see that these are these multiple API methods which are available in order for either retrieving data or fetching data or performing different functionalities. So in the prerequisite, we have the mint.js file which is mandatory to be included in our code in order to invoke the JS SDK methods. You have this init SDK method which initializes your extension. So it is mandatory to invoke this particular init method at the beginning of your code in order to invoke other JS SDK methods as they will work only when the init method is being called. So if you want to write any functionalities or perform any functionalities while your extension is being initialized, then you can write those functionalities inside this method. So we also have this request API which actually involves connection between your Zoho projects and a third-party application. So it will invoke the third-party URL using the connection which we have defined in the plugin manifest file. So let's just see about that particular API in detail. So this is how the request API will be constructed with three parameters like URL, object and connection link name. So the URL is the URL, that is the API to be invoked, the third party API which has to be invoked. Our object is a JSON object which consists of different keys like headers, bodies, parameter and the fields which need to be constructed depending on the third party API which is going to be invoked. And then finally the connection link name is the connection link name that we have obtained while creating a connector and we have specified in the plugin manifest file. So using the URL and the constructed object and the connection link name, it will be passed as parameters to this API in order to fetch the response. So now let's go back to our Sigma space and see an example extension which involves integration between like your Zoho projects and the third-party application Dropbox. Already created a sample extension for Zoho projects according to our demo example. So the example involves a connection between Zoho projects and the third-party application which is Dropbox. So earlier we had created a connection between these two applications and obtained a code snippet through under the JSON tab. So I've taken that code snippet and pasted it inside the connectors key inside the plugin manifest file. So all the connection link name and all the other connection summary details will be present in that code snippet. Then inside this whitelisted domains, I have added the domain of the third party application which is Dropbox so that the API calls from Dropbox are not blocked. So once this is being done, all the API calls will be passed through and your response can be fetched or retrieved. So after that, we're using this index.html file. We've written the functionality that our extension should perform inside this particular file. So here you can see that the Zoho projects.init is a mandatory API which initializes your extension. So after doing that, I've written a separate function in order to perform our functionality which is listing out all the file request folders which are present in my Dropbox. So I have constructed a JSON object which includes the parameters like type, body and headers that are required as per the third party API that is going to be invoked. So after constructing the JSON object, I've assigned a variable called as URL with the value of the third party API that which we are going to invoke. So once constructing of the JSON object is done and the URL is ready, I'm invoking the request API, Zoho projects.request API by passing the parameters as we had seen in the slide, that is the URL, the file detail which is the JSON object that we have created and the connection link name which is the connection link name present in our plugin manifest file. So on invoking this API, we will get a response and based on that response, I'm performing a sequence of operations which will list out all the folders which are present in my file request in Dropbox and along with their links so that on click of that link, we will be redirected to that particular file request folder through which the user can upload their files. So let's see how this is happening while testing. So I'm clicking on the run button and choosing my Zoho projects portal. So since the default location of the widget's load is in the task tab, I'm going inside the task. And here the project's extension is the widget name. So on click of that, you can see that the folders which the HTML structure which we have created is obtained, and on click of this button we have written a functionality. So on click of get folders, you can see that all my file request folders inside Dropbox are being displayed along with their corresponding links. So on clicking this particular link, I am redirected to my writer docs folder through which we can add or upload the files in order to associate with the task. So similarly, if I want to associate files regarding code snippets, then I can go through this particular link and then upload the files. So this is how we've established a connection between Zoho projects and Dropbox and performed our intended functionality. Also, Zoho Project supports another API, which is the Themes API. So this Themes API helps you to retrieve or fetch the current theme of the user's Zoho Projects portal. So once you use this API, it will fetch you the current theme, and from the output that is being retrieved, you can handle or set the values in your extension or widgets code, thereby supporting themes for your extensions widget as well. So far we have seen how we can create widgets for Zoho CRM, Zoho Desk and Zoho Projects in the first, second and today's session respectively. We had briefed you through the procedure or the steps that need to be carried out in order to create an extension and build widgets for these services. We have also shown some implementation of APIs that are supported by each service with a small example. So based on the information that you have gained through this session, you can go ahead and build extensions and develop widgets according to your business requirements. So now let's see some live examples of extensions that are present in Zoho Marketplace so that we can have an idea of how widgets are efficiently being used in our day-to-day business. So now let's see a widely used extension for the service Zoho Projects in our marketplace, which is named as Checklist for Zoho Projects. So we know that extensions can be built in order to either enhance the existing functionality of a Zoho product or establish a connection with other applications in order to perform some operations like retrieval or insertion of data from one application to another. So this checklist for Zoho Projects extension is built with the intention to enhance the existing Zoho product, which is Zoho Projects. This checklist for Zoho Projects extension helps you to create a set of instantaneous checklist templates that can be used inside your tasks and issues in Zoho Projects. So some of the main features of this extension are: you can create checklist templates and thereby save you time. You can customize your checklist for every task and issue based on your requirements and easily track their status. So I've already installed this extension in my Zoho Projects portal. So let's just see how this particular extension's features works. So this is my Zoho Projects portal where the extension has been installed, and since we know that this extension works inside our task and issues tabs, let's go inside a particular task. And in the tab section, you can see the checklist extension being installed. So on click of it, we are provided with the options to either pick from a template or create a new checklist. So when you create a new checklist, let's just create a checklist with the name task status cycle. So once the checklist has been created, we can add items to the checklist. So I'm going to go ahead and add few items. So I've just added few items like analysis, implementation and testing under this task status cycle checklist. So once I've completed adding this checklist has now been associated with this task, and you can see that over here you will be able to rename this checklist name if you wish to, and inside or on like across every particular item you can either delete this item or simply click on this item and make changes to it whenever you require. And also on choosing a particular item, that item will be completed from your checklist and you can see a movement has occurred. So like 1 out of 3 items have been completed. We also have this option to bulkily add items from a spreadsheet to this checklist. So if you already have a spreadsheet with certain items available, you can click on this create item and then paste all your spreadsheet rows over here, so that each item in the each row will be created as a separate item in your checklist. We also have this mark as template option, where when you click on mark as template, this particular checklist will be added to the template section. So currently this checklist has been associated only to this particular task. Now if we move to another task and click on this checklist section, we're again prompted to either pick from a template or create a new checklist. So when we pick from a template, you can simply choose the task status cycle checklist that we had created and give add. So now this checklist has been simply added or associated with this task as well. So this saves our time, and also through this checklist we can keep track of the statuses easily. So for this task again, if you want to create another new checklist, then you can do so by clicking on new checklist and then creating items as mentioned earlier. So here in this extension symbol, you can see your checklist extension and all the templates that we have created. So any checklist which has been marked as a template will be visible over here. So here task, and inside every task and issue, it is considered to be an entity, whereas this template will be considered at extension level. So in order to do this, perform the features in this particular extension, let's see what SDKs or methods have been used in our project. So we have used two properties, namely the extension properties and entity properties, in order to achieve the data storage functionality in the extension. So the UI is handled via HTML, CSS and jQuery, whereas the data that we enter while creating the items for a checklist or adding the checklist as a template has to be stored somewhere. So that's where we have used the entity and extension properties in order to store the data against the entities and the extensions respectively. So what are entity properties? Using this, you can store your data against entities that are being supported by Zoho projects. So we know Zoho project supports task and issue entities. So using this in this extension, storage of task specific or issue specific data against their respective entities is done. So the data can be stored in the key value format, and the key will be unique string and the data will be a JSON object that has to be identified with the key. So similarly, you can also store, retrieve and update or delete data against your entities using these entity.store, retrieve, update or remove properties. So similarly, we have extension properties, which is also a key value pair that stores data against the extension itself. So the templates that are created are on extension specific level, right? And their data will be thus stored against an extension itself. So also it is important to remember that the data that is stored against an extension will be lost when the extension is uninstalled from the product, but the data stored against the entity will be retained, as only the extension specific data will be deleted during extension uninstallation, whereas the entity specific data will be retained for other extensions in order to access. So here we've just shown some code snippets of the entity.store method and the apps.store method, which is present in the entity and the extension properties. So you can see that we have a key value pair which is over here. The key is unique and the value is constructed as a variable or like a JSON object and passed over here. Similarly, the app.store, which is an extension property, you are passing the data as a key value pair, where the key again will be a unique key and the value will be constructed as a JSON object and passed to this method. So just like how we saw an extension with a widget for Zoho projects, now let's see an extension for Zoho Desk, which is Google Calendar for Zoho Desk. So this particular extension helps you to create calendars and events from your Zoho Desk and keep those calendars and events in sync with your Google Calendars also. So let's just see how this works in our desk portal. So this is my desk portal, and this particular extension will be available in the right panel of a ticket details page as well as your top pan. So let's just move into a ticket. And as you can see, this is the widget icon which is present in the right panel of the ticket details page. So on click of it, you can see that the extension, which is Google Calendar for Zoho Desk extension, has been loaded. So this is the widget, that extension. And here by default, your calendar names will be displayed, and you also have the create event and the events tab. So I already have an event which is created and associated with this particular ticket. If I want to create a new event, I can go ahead and then create a event. So on providing the mandatory details, along with that you can provide additional details, like you can either choose to keep an event reminder, or notification time slots can be given. And then you also can provide a description, along with which you have the link of this particular ticket details page. So on clicking save, the event has been created successfully and will be visible under this events tab, and this will also be synced with your Google Calendar. So this is how it appears in your ticket details page right panel. You can also access this from your top band, where you can see that here you have this option to add a calendar itself, which will be synced to your Google Calendar as well. And inside a particular calendar, you can create a new event using this add event button. So this will be associated with that particular calendar in your Google Calendars. So now we have seen two extensions in Marketplace that are live and that showcase the power of widgets in your applications. The Zoho Projects extension used a widget to enhance the existing product features, and the Zoho Desk extension integrated with a third party application and had a widget designed in order to perform functionalities that can be seamlessly synced between applications. Therefore, widget is a powerful feature that is available in the platform that helps you customize your UI according to your business needs and thereby build more efficient extensions. Another commonly used widget by most of the developers across different Zoho services is the SMS feature. We have a ready to use SMS template widget that is available in our marketplace GitHub that can be customized according to your business needs based on your integration with other applications in order to help you send out SMS from your Zoho service. So I've already associated the SMS template widget to an extension in order to show you the UI. In my extension, I have embedded the widget in a custom button called as SMS inside my leads module view page. So on click of this button, you can see that the widget has been displayed. So this is the UI for our widget. And customize your UI according to your business needs, and also invoke the necessary service APIs or third party APIs in order to populate your widgets data and also send the SMS accordingly. So therefore, widgets are powerful components that help you design your UI according to your business needs and help you build efficient extensions. So hope you found this information helpful. Thank you for showing your interest and participating in our session. Thank you.